So now you've been at the New York Stock Exchange for 9 years, I believe.
Yep, 9 years.
What is the transition into StubHub like? How do you get connected to that?
Yeah, so after I'd been there, I wanted to actually move back out to California was my goal. I wanted to run a marketplace business at scale and technology. I knew the leadership team at eBay. I knew Devin Wenig, who's the CEO at eBay. I actually knew him back at the New York Stock Exchange when he was at a prior job at Thomson Reuters. And the New York Stock Exchange, we were one of his largest customers. He covered me as a customer. And so I came out here to tell him I was leaving the New York Stock Exchange. It wasn't public at that point in time, and I was thinking about other opportunities. And honestly, it was like a Wednesday afternoon, and he said, "Would you be interested in running StubHub?" And
so a Wednesday afternoon?
It was a Wednesday afternoon, and he said, "Would you?" After I had come and talked to him about a bunch of different things at eBay, I said, "Hey, would you be interested in running StubHub?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know eBay owned StubHub." And I said, "Yeah, but I got to fly out tomorrow." I was in New York. I said, "I need to fly out tomorrow because I got two or three other things that I'm thinking about." So I came out on a Thursday, Friday. I had the offer on Monday, and then the following week we announced that I was going to go to StubHub. I mean, it was that fast.
That's extremely fast.
It was really fast. It was crazy.
So because the New York Stock Exchange is this marketplace, I assume, and StubHub is this ticket marketplace,
yeah.
You had to take lessons from your time at NSE over to StubHub.
Yeah.
And was that one of the driving factors in why you chose to go with StubHub over the other two things you're thinking about?
I really like the StubHub business model. It was a marketplace. So, again, platform for matching buyers and sellers. It was at scale. I mean, literally selling billions of dollars of event-going experiences. But it had some aspects that I thought were opportunities, and one of them was it's a two-sided marketplace, so you've got to focus on buyers and sellers. And it was also a disruptive technology, but hadn't, as a brand, I thought there was opportunity for us to be better partners and have better perception externally in the industry, and that's was my focus. And so I was able to make some changes early on and focus on the perception challenges of StubHub and really make a difference. And I was doing that for 2.5 years, and about a month ago was called, and now run the core marketplace business at eBay, which is almost 10 times as big as StubHub. And
when you came on board StubHub and you noticed things that you saw were as opportunities, what sort of things were you noticing?
Well, again, that was a company that had been around for 15 years.
Yeah.
When I joined, one of the things that I learned at the New York Stock Exchange was that in a world that was moving to electronic trading, and in a world where the same thing that was being sold on the New York Stock Exchange was being sold on 50 other different places, you had to get to the customer first to win. And in that case, it took technology to do that. The analog in the event-going experience, the ticket marketplaces, StubHub at one point in time was the only place that you could resell tickets, and then it became one of many different places. And so how we competed to
was that before you were there?
Before I was there. But so I came firmly into a company that, it was a multi-channel environment, and StubHub had chosen, again, this doesn't get too technical, but pretty easy to explain. If you fly on a plane and if you're searching for a ticket, if I was looking at that United ticket on one website, it showed me the price of the ticket plus baggage fees and airport fees and all these other things, and I showed you the price, and then somebody else just showed me the base price of the ticket. Well, StubHub was the place that showed you all of these different prices, and everywhere else just showed you the ticket price. And I was like, well, in the end, you're probably paying the same, but we're losing people of thinking that we're more expensive just out of the gate. Turned out just changing the way the first price was displayed was $1 billion idea in 1 year.
I mean, just changing that?
Just changing that.
The way the price was displayed?
Just changing that. Didn't change the fees, just changed the way when those fees were shown and your ability to actually toggle in between knowing what that the price you're paying, then showing you the fees, like just showing that was nearly $1 billion in 1 year.
And that was part of an overall branding makeover for the company?
It was just a small tweak to how the inventory was shown to the market. And it had a dramatic impact on the business in a very, very short period of time. And the rest has really been focused on building the team, and then taking the business global, which came via an acquisition.
Got it. Speaking of taking it global, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here who are from overseas. So what was it like managing operations overseas in Europe and China versus here?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Again, this is probably from my perspective, the New York Stock Exchange, having worked with entrepreneurs all around the world. It was amazing to see entrepreneurship take hold in the early days of China's ascension in the global markets. It was also really interesting to see that happen in Brazil, and to start to see that in places in Africa. And I guess what was unique about all of those different microcosms, very much like the Silicon Valley, is you develop this ecosystem of an entrepreneur that becomes successful, and then takes that success and plows that right back into another company, another startup, and then goes and does it again. And in places where you get that ecosystem and that flywheel, creates these unbelievable velocity of capital formation. And so one of that perspective of, boy, if you have the opportunity to make it and plow that back into the next opportunity, that's the flywheel that actually makes an economy great. One exit for one person does nothing, really. I mean, somebody will get wealthy, and then it won't really create new jobs. But when that person deploys that, I mean, imagine Elon Musk, one of the most successful entrepreneurs. When he sold PayPal to eBay, he made hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine if he stopped there. I mean, look at what he's done, and what all the folks that PayPal have done since that point in time. They started new companies and started new, opportunities, and some of the greatest technologies that we have out there right now today would not have existed if they essentially just took what for most would be, generations of wealth, and just essentially sat on it.
So when you're moving out into these places, was StubHub the driving jobs in these places? And
no,
were they
this
there
was
already?
More my perspective of seeing entrepreneurship over the years of my career. StubHub is, as crazy as it may seem, there are people who their livelihood was buying and selling tickets to events, taking advantage of an arbitrage opportunity, buying inventory and selling it on our marketplace. I met, people in the military who were, providing a living for themselves and their families doing this. I mean, that surprised me in just ticketing. But, half of the business at StubHub came from, just consumers, people that were, essentially making a living out of this activity.
Was StubHub itself selling tickets, or was it relying all on these resellers?
StubHub is a marketplace, so it just connects a buyer and a seller. So at some point, somebody has the courage to take that risk in a position and buys a ticket, and then either sees an opportunity or can't go to the event and chooses to list that on StubHub.
And when you came on board, did StubHub have a pretty healthy supply of both buyers and sellers, or was it one kind of lacking?
It did. I mean, it was a healthy ecosystem. Again, it had been there for almost 15 years. But what was changing in the industry was our ability to take it to the next level. Really required us to think differently about partners and partnerships. So, one of those was the New York Yankees. New York Yankees, we had a 7-year litigation history with the New York Yankees, and was a place where, the two organizations just didn't see eye to eye. And it was a little over a year and a half ago where I reached out to them and said, we have so many of our customers are going into your stadium every single day that there ought to be a way for us to work together. And so we were able to to put together a new partnership, change that perception, and now, we have a great partnership with one of the top franchises in the world. As much as we have a fantastic relationship with the Giants as well, but it was sort of the point of we have to change that perception of how we were perceived as a brand to the big partners that are driving content and have these venues that are amazing experiences for our customers.